If you're watching this video, you probably have a drone and you probably want to bring it on your next international trip. So if you're like me, you probably have a little bit of anxiety about taking your drone with lithium-ion batteries on the flight if, hell, they don't even let you have toothpaste over 2.7 ounces. So this video is to hopefully set you at ease. It is okay to fly with a drone on an international flight and domestic, but this video is going to be focused on some of the things you do need to focus on to make sure that your flight goes smoothly, easily, and you don't get held up. So here's 5 things that you need to take into consideration. First, you want to look at battery size limitations per your airlines, because this does change. My last flight I flew on Delta because I was going to Iceland from Atlanta, and we don't have direct flights from Atlanta to Iceland. So typically we have to stop over in Boston or JFK, and then we go from there to Reykjavik. But with this specific flight, I wanted to save some money, so I flew Delta from Atlanta to JFK, and then I switched airlines to Iceland Air from JFK to Reykjavik. Now, that gave me a few more variables that I had to take into consideration, because Delta allows you to have a little bit more watt hours in your battery. So specifically, just to spit some statistics at you, Delta Airlines allows you to have batteries that are up to 160 watt hours. Anything at 160 watt hours and above is a no-go. You can't bring it on the flight. From 101 to 160 watt hours, they let you have 2 spares that you can bring on. Now, anything under that, so 100 watt hours and below, you can bring as many as you like. I probably wouldn't test this to be unreasonable, but that's what the rules say. Now, Iceland Air is a little bit different. They limit it to 20 batteries. Now, if you're bringing over 20 batteries, maybe I don't know what you're doing. that's a lot of batteries. But that gives you a lot of wiggle room, right? So anything up to 100 watt hours, you can bring it on as long as you cap it at 20 of those. Now, when I was on this last flight, my gearbox, I had 2 camera bodies. I had my Canon R5, I had my Canon 5D Mark IV. I also brought a DJI Mavic 3 Pro and a DJI Neo. So I had 3 different types of batteries. Now, the standard Canon battery, this is 19.6 watt hours, so it's under the 100, you can bring unlimited. The DJI Neo, those are also so small you probably don't have to worry about them. Those are 10.5 watt hours, also not even close, right? The only thing I was really worried about was the DJI Mavic 3 Pro batteries, the intelligent flight batteries. These are 77 watt hours, still way under that 100 watt hour mark. So I wasn't pressing my luck on anything that was pushing the limit there. So I was pretty confident when I got through security, or got up to security, that I wasn't running into any issues. And the result was true. The most kind of really anything that I ran into was actually going through security at ATL, Atlanta Hartsfield Airport security. And really they just, put my bag over to the secondary check. She wanted to open it up and kind of look through a few things and just really not even ask me questions. She just wanted to look and make sure everything checked out. And as far as that goes, it didn't hold me up. I was able to breeze on through. Number 2, the second thing I would make sure you're looking at is carry-on size dimensions. Carry-on sizes are not just carry-on size. I thought it was, and I was sorely mistaken on this last flight. So carry-on size dimensions changes per airline a little bit, but enough to where it's important. So on Delta Airlines, their carry-on size dimensions are listed at 22 by 14 by 9. Okay, that's fine. Iceland Air has their dimensions listed at 21.6 by 15.7 by 9. Other things that I've seen, it goes down to like 7.6 instead of 9. So there's a little bit of variable there, but that is a difference of less than half of an inch, 21.6 and 22 inches as far as your length. That matters, especially if you're bringing a hard case, a Pelican 1535 in my case. So I'll get to that in a moment. I'm gonna do some show and tell. I'm gonna show you my gearbox, my Pelican, how I have it laid out, and what's working for me and my travel workflow. But the other side point to this is that there are some airlines that are going to be a little bit more rigid on your carry-on, as opposed to others. For instance, Delta, they haven't really given me a hard time as far as like making me put my carry-on in, making me physically do it in front of them to kind of test it out. It's really kind of like an eyeball check kind of deal. I think in the past, typically your standard airlines are going to be kind of that way. Budget airlines tend to be more rigid. So Iceland Air is a budget airline. They made me, each time I crossed through security on my way there and on my way back, they made me put my hard carry-on Pelican in the little guide box, that steel box that measures your carry-on. And Pelican 1535, fun fact, is 21.96 by 13.97 by 8.98. If you remember Iceland Air carry-on, the one that really stood out was the 21.6. My Pelican case is 21.96. 0.3 inches. When you're dealing with a steel guide box and that you have to do it in front of them, it does matter. It really matters. I was able to kind of show them that I'm so close. I could kind of like force it in front of them, like literally like shaking, trying to push it down. And here's where, sometimes it just helps to be nice. And on my way there, they're like, I understand you've got a bunch of lithium-ion batteries, it's your drone equipment, no worries, go on through. On the way back, it didn't matter how nice I was. The attendant, not going to get into things, she was maybe having a bad day, and it didn't matter of any sort. She was going to make me check my gear with my camera bodies, my drone, everything. It didn't matter. My lenses that are $2,200 each. This is my livelihood, and she could not care less. Luckily, when I was going to the second person to hand her my carry-on, I explained to her, like, listen, I did have to push it down into the box a little bit, but it does fit. This has my livelihood in it, and thankfully she took mercy on me. But all in all, this is a really good point of the story to tell you. The dimensions, if you think that 0.1 of an inch, 0.3 of an inch is going to be semantics, and it's not really going to matter, it will, especially if you're carrying on a hard case. So will I bring my Pelican 1535 on an international flight again? Sure. I feel comfortable doing that if I'm not flying a budget airline. If I'm flying a budget airline, if it's a great deal, I'm going to reconsider my carry-on choice, and I want to be well under what their guides are, because the rules are different per person you're dealing with. So take note, if you're flying two different airlines, make sure you're looking at both of their rules, both of their dimensions. All right, so number 3, security and timing. So if I'm bringing a gear box full of, I've got my cameras, my lenses, I've got my drone batteries, they might want to go through everything, check each individual thing. Am I going to have to get to the airport ahead of time, even more so than what I typically do? Now, myself and my wife, we travel together, and we like to get to the airport about 3 hours early. Atlanta Airport is just kind of like that. You never really know what you're going to get. You could be waiting in security for hours. or you could be flying through, breezing through. Luckily, you know, at this point we have TSA pre-check and, you know, sometimes Sky Priority, and that kind of puts you in a different line, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about, should I get to the airport with even more wiggle room? And the answer to that is not really. If you typically get to the airport with, you know, ample time, you'll be fine. The only thing that held me up just a little bit was being held in secondary just so the attendant could lift my Pelican case, look through, but it took about, if I'm being honest, it took about a minute to a minute and a half. So as far as extra security time, do I want to make sure I leave earlier? No, it's going to be fine. I would just breathe on that one. It's something that they see quite often, and it's not atypical for them to see a bunch of camera gear. In fact, I think they give more scrutiny to a bag that has a full-size deodorant in it than they do a camera box full of batteries and lenses. Take that for what you will. So before I reach into the fourth point, I want to show you my gearbox as I promised. So with this gearbox, I've got the Pelican Air 1535. I also have the regular Pelican, about the same size. This one's just a little bit lighter. It gives enough sturdiness that I'm not worried about my equipment, but for this I was able to bring two main lenses that I mostly shoot with. So most of my shooting is done on a wide 15-35 for my Canon R5. And then I shoot with a 24x70, gives me a little bit more zoom. I put that on my Canon 5D Mark IV here. And then I have this side that I put full of batteries, so I can fit two extra DJI Mavic 3 Pro batteries here. And then I've got a 360 Ricoh Theta camera I can put in. I can substitute what I'm shooting this video on is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I can put that here as well. So two lenses, two camera bodies, and then two extra batteries. I got an extra Canon battery in here, and then with my extra memory cards, I slide them in the side. I've got a charger underneath here, and then I've got my DJI Mic 2 that I'm able to put in this pocket. This gives me the flexibility that if I'm not going to use the Mic 2, I can also put a third lens in this pocket. So I have a little bit of flexibility there. And then this little option here is my DJI Osmo. And then down here, I've got an extra ability to put the DJI Osmo batteries. This is the remote control for the Mavic 3 Pro. So all in all, I'm able to bring two drones, two camera bodies, two lenses, a 360 camera, two extra backups for each thing, and my mic, all within the parameters of a carry-on. So this is perfect for what I use in my workflow. I'm not sponsored by Pelican, and you know, this isn't a sales pitch video, but this is perfect for what I need and what I use. And then I also bring a Yeti backpack for my personal item, and I'll show you that. And the last bit of show and tell I'll do, because again, this video is not sponsored. I just really like the Yeti Crossroads backpack. It's 27 liter one that I have here, and I've kind of hacked it to be a camera bag. The reason I like it, instead of just getting a regular camera bag, there's tons of really great ones out there, is that I can use this as a regular backpack when I'm not using it as a camera bag. And I also, so I went on Amazon and just bought a camera bag insert. So this is like super plush. It was like 15 bucks, 12 bucks, something like that. And I just put that in the bottom, and I can fit a camera body and two lenses, or my drone actually fits vertically in here with an extra battery or two in the remote control. So that goes in there, and I've got a really sturdy bag, you know, standard side zip pockets, top, laptop case in the back for this. So this is my go-to. So in the future, if I want to bring something really quick, not have to worry about the hassle of maybe getting stopped for my 1535 Pelican, this is well under, and it is considered a personal item. So that's the way to go for me. All right, so enough show and tell. The number 4 item to consider is when you're flying your drone, taking it across the pond where you're going internationally. Let's say you're going to Europe and you're, 107C certified here with the FAA. That doesn't matter in Europe. You still need to register your drone, one, and that's separate from their equivalent of a 107C. They have a standard license there. It's EASA A1, A3 license certification. It's in comparison to the FAA Part 107, I would say it's a fraction of the difficulty. If you're taking it for the first time, you can go online. It's pretty inexpensive to take the test, and you can, let's say if you don't do so well the first time around, it'll show you your incorrect answers, and then you can go through and take it again. So overall, that process was a breeze. I think, from the time I studied for it to, taking it and passing it the first time, I think I got like a 96% or 92%. And this is not like I'm super, smart, or it was just not that difficult. It took me a couple hours realistically. So you can get that done, just make sure that, even though this is you take it online, you pass it, you get your certification, that night you can print it out. Just go ahead and leave yourself some time, a few days, because you'll want to make sure you're registered. You're registering your drone. The other point to this, like let's call it, point 4B, is you may be bringing a small drone like the Neo. You bring in a DJI Neo, it's well under that 249 grams threshold, but some people don't realize that any drone, even if it's under 249 grams, has to be registered. If it has a camera on it, it has to be registered. So the weight limit of 249 grams, whether it's above or below, that decision point is really a factor on whether you're going to need to be A1, A3 certified on top of registering it. So regardless of the size of your drone, well, take that back, regardless of whether your drone is below or above 249 grams, it will need to be registered. And then if it's above 249 grams, in addition to that registration, you'll need to get your A1, A3 EASA certification. There are some additional points to that. I can do another video, because if you do have, let's say, a larger drone like an Inspire, or if you're going to be shooting in certain scenarios where you're going to be closer to people in certain areas, certain countries, you'll need a different, additional, a little bit more restrictive license than the A1, A3. I only mention the A1, A3 is because it's the most common, it's the easiest to get, and most people will fit into that category. But if you, I would love to hear from you. If you'd like me to do a separate video on the EASA certification process and which type of license to get, whether it's A1, A3 or something else, there's A2, depending on your shooting scenarios, I can do an additional video for that. But most important thing is just make sure you realize that all drones need to be registered, and the registration, if you are registered in one country within the regions, you don't have to register for each country. So if Depending on, let's say you're going to multiple countries, register it in the one within the region and you'll be fine. Which brings me to point number 5. Make sure you're researching all your locations. When I do international travel, I like to pack in a lot of things. We like to travel to different cities. Great resources online out there. Again, this is not going into airspace restrictions. Just a point to be mindful of where you're flying. Make sure that you're not flying over people and being obnoxious. I would say if you're looking to bring your drone overseas, if you're looking to fly with your drone for the first time, rest assured, rest easy, everything will be fine. You're not going to get a shakedown through security. It's not going to have you end up ruining your trip because they said you're not allowed to bring this and you have to turn around and go back home. It'll all be good. If you like this kind of content, let me know in the comments below and subscribe. I would love to make some more videos. Give me some guidance on if you want me to make that additional video on EU registration with the EASA. All right,